Oh, hi there. My name's Jeff Philbin, and I'll be your server today. May I recommend for you our special? It's an idea for your dinner, or as we call them, dinner DeeAs. How about Tarragon chicken with Morel mushrooms? What's that? You're in a hurry? No problem. We'll show you how to get it on your table in less than a half hour. Joining me to make a mushroom marvel with his morels is John Lister. He's the executive chef with Ava, inspired and imaginative Italian restaurant on Howard Avenue in Tampa. Chef John, you're making Tarragon chicken with morel mushrooms, which in itself sounds delightful, but later in the show, you're going to be plating it up with something very rare, very expensive, and very misunderstood.
Yes, truffles.
Oh, I can't
Fresh
wait.
truffles.
I love it. But you started to do something that's very cool. It's like a science project that's happening in our pan. What did you just do there?
Okay, so what I'm doing is I am testing the heat of the pan with water. Because what we're using today is a stainless steel pan. And believe it or not, you can make this nonstick by heating the pan first before you add the oil.
There's so many folks at home that are going to be pulling out their nonstick pans, their cast iron, and only thinking that's the way to do it. But you don't have to. You can use stainless steel if you know how to do it right, because that water bead is kind of dancing around. Is that what you want?
That's exactly what you're looking for.
So this is hot. This is ready to go.
This is ready to go.
Perfect.
So if I add the oil now, when I add the chicken, it won't stick.
I love it. So what's the first step then?
Okay, the first step, we're going to season the chicken.
Okay.
So what I've got here is what's called an airline breast. So it's a boneless, skin-on chicken breast. Mm-hmm. And it still has the wing. So what I did is I deboned that. I took that out.
Okay.
And it is important, very important, to use chicken with a skin on it. It protects the chicken breast. It also adds a lot of flavor to the pan because we're going to make a pan sauce later with it.
Okay, perfect.
All right. So as you can see here, I'm going to add the oil.
And what type of oil are you adding?
This is a neutral oil. So you can use canola oil, vegetable oil, avocado.
Okay.
And we're going to lay it across, away from us, like that.
And I noticed something that you just did too. You started to turn the protein outward.
Away from you.
You did, and why are you doing that?
Well, if you do this, there's a good chance it splash up on you and burn yourself.
Mm-hmm. And when you're working with oil,
yes,
you don't want to be burned. I mean,
no,
that's going to set the tone of the entire meal way off. So safety first and pushing it away from the pan. Okay.
And that's the thing too, is I can tell when I put this in there, the pan's hot. But when you put something cold in there, it's going to drop the temperature a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to put it back on. It's going to slowly start to bring it back up to temperature.
Sure.
Okay? And as you can see, it doesn't stick.
It doesn't stick. And what are we looking for?
We're looking for a good golden brown crust. And it's important because when we cook this later, we're going to cook it with liquid. So what we're doing is we're searing, braising, roasting, kind of all together.
Okay.
All right? But it's also important because that's going to develop a fond on the bottom of the pan, which is going to make the sauce taste better.
And all that flavor is going to come through. So
exactly.
Absolutely. For Chef John's recipe for his Tarragon chicken with morel mushrooms, and to watch this show or any of our shows again, visit dinnerdeas.com. The easiest way to get there, take the phone out, scan the QR code up on the screen right now. All the cool kids are doing it. Become one of the cool kids. It's cool to fall into peer pressure on that one. I'm okay with that one. That one you can do.
That's a little crust.
Yeah, and you are forming just a nice little bit of a crust.
Yep.
And it's very quick that you're seeing that you just made that flip happen.
Yeah, and it's, like I said too, that's why you want this on a medium-high heat. If it's on too high a heat, you're gonna start browning too much before the fat starts to melt.
Okay.
All right? So this is pretty much it for right now.
Okay.
So we're gonna remove the chicken.
Okay.
And then we're gonna start adding some vegetables.
Okay.
So the first thing we wanna add is some leeks.
Okay.
So we're going to take these chopped leeks.
Nice.
Add them to the pan. Let them kind of sweat down a little bit.
Okay.
Now, once again, the moisture from here is going to come out of the vegetables.
Sure.
And it's going to kind of start to deglaze the pan. Okay, the next thing we want to do is we want to add some shallot.
Okay. Nice. So you're just going really nice thin strips here.
Yeah.
Nice julienne strips there. Okay. Now, how do you properly clean leeks? Because that's one right there that there's always dirt, and it can sometimes be great meal. I'm so excited to do it, but then it's I got grit now in my teeth.
As the leeks come up, actually the tops, you cut the tops off of the whites. Now they do come out of dirt. So what happens is as the leek is growing, there's a lot of sand that gets in between the layers. So instead of just taking them and rinsing them off, you need to slice them, put them into a bowl of water, and you'll notice they float.
And so you're slicing them before you clean them, putting them into that water so that way then they can float. And you're using your fingers a little bit to kind of make sure they break apart and move.
Yeah, be a little abrasive. And what you want to do is you want to let them sit for a few minutes. And what's going to happen is the dirt's going to settle to the bottom. Now, what you don't want to do is take this and pour it into a colander, because now you're pouring that dirt right back on top of it.
Okay, so
then you want to pull from the top.
Okay.
All the sediments are at the bottom.
Very cool. Very cool.
All right. And then next we're going to add garlic. So you can do this in two ways. You can either smash it or slice it. Depends on how much garlic you like.
Okay.
The more you chop it, the stronger it is.
Sure.
So sometimes I like it just sliced.
Now, you have more of the smasher
mellow.
or the slicer?
Personally, I like garlic and I like to eat a lot of it, so I kind of like to slice it.
Okay.
If you don't and you just want to use a little bit of it, then you can go ahead and use that.
Okay.
You can smash it. So once that gets going, we're going to move on to the mushrooms.
Okay.
Okay, so the first one is porcini. Now, you don't have to use a fresh porcini. You can use a cremini. You can use a button.
Okay.
You can even use shiitakes.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to add that. We're going to let that
And
cook.
those are all very easily to find in a grocery store.
Yes.
How about these?
With these are a little bit more of a specialty item.
Okay.
That's why I said you can use creminis.
So
It's more seasonal.
More seasonal.
But I go, everything that I've got here today, I have seen at the grocery store.
Okay.
The morels are one of my favorite mushrooms. So what we did with these morels is that we first took a cup of hot boiling water, poured it over them, and let them sit for about 10, 15 minutes.
What's the purpose of letting them be in that water?
Well, it does two things. For one, it rehydrates them.
Okay.
Okay, it brings them back. Two, especially in this case, what we're doing is we're using that liquid. And that liquid's got a deep mushroom flavor. That's why it's important to use dried mushrooms. Now, it doesn't have to be morels. You can use dried porcinis, dried shiitakes, but you do want to use dried mushrooms. But the reason why I love these so much is if you look at them, they kind of have a honeycomb texture to them.
Sure.
So when we're making this sauce, what this does is this fills up in all those little cavities with the sauce.
Nice.
So when you bite into the mushroom,
it's just like a pocket of just flavor that comes with it.
Absolutely.
Now,
Absolutely.
are these hard to source and come by as well?
Nope.
No.
No. I've seen these this week alone, I've seen these at Publix, at Winn-Dixie. So, I mean, they're
It's taking the stage over.
yeah. You have all those dried mushrooms these days, and basically, in every grocery store, you'll see a department of dried mushrooms. And this one is 0.5 ounces, which is exactly the same size container that they sell them in.
Okay, perfect.
So I kind of made it, grocery store friendly.
I love that.
Right.
We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, it's time to crack open the vermouth. We're going to be using it to deglaze our pan and showing you a surprisingly healthy alternative mashed potatoes as our side. That's ahead on Dinner DeeAs. Welcome back to Dinner DeeAs. If you don't know what to make for dinner tonight, we have the answers, or at least our guest does. Chef John Lister is from Ava, Tampa. They serve simple and rustic Italian, and he's sharing his recipe for Tarragon chicken with Morel mushrooms. Before the break, we seared our chicken, we added shallots, our leeks, and the mushroom, just a little bit of garlic, and now we're getting our liquor on to deglaze the pan. All right, so what type of liquor are we working with?
Okay, so this is vermouth, a white vermouth.
A white vermouth.
Dry. Okay, we're going to add that to the pan.
Now, if you wanted to have used a cooking wine or a wine that might have been in the fridge, could you do that with this dish?
You can, but you got to be very careful of what you use.
Okay.
Okay, that's why I choose vermouth, because it's very dry. It's not sweet. It's low in alcohol, but it gives you the right acidity for this dish.
For this dish.
So if you weren't using that, I would use a Chardonnay, but that's about as far as it goes. Anything else, a Pinot Grigio, Sauvignon Blanc, I think they might be a little too fruity.
So this is the one. Maybe stay true to this recipe. Get the vermouth out.
And plus, most people have vermouth that's been sitting in their liquor cabinet for 6 months, and you never use it.
And so
now
this
you
is
got a
that
chance.
moment. Bring it out, because this is the dish that you want to be able to have the qualities of that one. I like that. Okay.
Yeah, so that's cooked down just for a few moments. We burnt off the little bit of alcohol. Like I said, this is low alcohol, so you're not going to get a big flame up.
No, and I can smell it now kind of coming off of it, but it's so subtle to begin with.
Now we're going to add the reserved mushroom juice that we soaked the morel mushrooms in.
Nice.
Okay? This is going to give it a real deep, earthy mushroom taste.
And no waste at that point either.
None.
So you're bringing back all those flavors that was reserved for it.
And then the last is the heavy cream.
Nice.
So we're going to let that come up to a slight simmer. Bring those flavors together, and then we're going to add our Dijon mustard.
Okay.
You just want about a tablespoon about this. And this is pretty classic too. I mean, mushrooms, leeks, Dijon.
It's very.
And then we're going to add some fresh tarragon.
Nice.
And that's about 2 or 3 sprigs.
Now,
right there.
what are you tasting with tarragon? What are you tasting for?
Well, I hate to say, but okay, what's it? Anise flavored. So a lot of times people ask what that is. It's like a licorice flavor.
Yeah.
Don't think of it like black licorice candy, but it's a very herbaceous, very subtle anise flavor. And there's a lot of things that are also in that same category.
Okay.
But it's just, I think when people try it, it takes them back to things that they've had before, especially like Béarnaise sauce.
Sure.
That's what you're tasting, especially with the shallots.
Perfect, perfect. And all this is just one pan.
One pan.
One pan, folks, because now you're seeing how simple it is to make Chef John's Tarragon chicken with morel mushrooms. You'll want this recipe, and you can find it on our website, dinnerdeas.com. Bring the phone out, scan the QR code right there in the corner of your screen.
Okay, so now we've gotten this thing back up. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add the chicken back in.
Okay.
So if you notice what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay it down so the chicken is about...
Skin side up, then.
Skin side up.
Okay.
And what we're not going to do is we're not going to baste this. And the reason why is we just spent all this time trying to get the skin crispy.
Yeah.
So if I were to start basting this, you just...
Why even do it in the first place?
Exactly.
Okay.
So this is ready. This goes into a 350-degree oven.
I love it.
For about 10 minutes. So every oven's a little bit different, but 10 minutes is about where you're at.
That's where you want to be at?
Yep.
Okay. This is super quick. Super quick. One pan, easy to find, easy if you're thinking about it from a seasonality standpoint to find some of our mushrooms for it there. And 10 minutes?
10 minutes and less to clean up.
Less to clean up. That sometimes is the best part about it.
The best part about it. So what we're going to serve with this today, now you can serve this with just about anything. You can serve this with any kind of roasted potato. You can do it with buttered noodles. What I'm doing today is celeriac. So what celeriac is...
Yeah.
So if you take a look at this, this is the root that grows down into the ground.
Okay.
And this is where the actual celery comes out. So what this does is, I'm going to treat this just like mashed potatoes.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to cut it, I'm going to peel it, I'm going to boil it.
But will it have that same flavor profile
It does.
as like a potato and something that would
It's
have...
kind of like a combination of both.
Okay.
So you definitely taste the celery, but the texture, once it hits your mouth, it has a very unctuous, it's very potatoey. And you can even mix a little bit of mashed potatoes in with it.
Okay, so you could fold it in, but it's
Fold
not
it
going
in.
to have that water content of celery.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of peel this down.
Okay. Is celeriac hard to find?
I see them at every grocery store I go to. As a matter of fact, sometimes if I run out of the restaurant, I just go to the Winn-Dixie down the street or somewhere else.
And they
pick
got
them
it.
up. Yeah. So after we're going to peel this.
And this can be healthy.
It can be. Absolutely. You can take this and after, like I said, we're going to cook it like we do mashed potatoes.
Okay.
So we're going to chop it up evenly, put it in the pan, cover it with water, boil it. And then when it's done, in this case, I'm going to hit it with a little bit of cream, a little bit of butter, a little bit of salt.
Okay, so you're still bringing a lot of those elements that would make a great mashed potato into
Absolutely.
this.
But like I said, you could also just season it and add some olive oil.
Wow. Okay.
Another thing too is that you can take these things and you can also dice them and roast them in a very hot oven.
Nice.
Coat them with some oil, salt and pepper, and they get sweet on the outside when you roast these things.
I love
it's such
it.
a wonderful, and they get crispy on the outside, then when you bite into them, they almost liquefy.
So cool.
So what we're going to do is we're going to cut these evenly
And what's the importance of cutting them evenly?
so they all cook at the same rate.
Okay.
Because what you don't want is one to be undercooked while the other half are overcooked.
Sure.
And you do got to be careful with that root at the bottom. It's like, see, like right here, you want to make sure you get everything off because that can be a little unpleasant when you're eating it.
Totally, totally. And this is going to mash like a traditional mashed potato would
Yes,
too as well.
absolutely.
Okay.
And
cook time wise, I mean, I know that we're cutting them to have uniform cuts, so that way that would help. But in terms of the relation of a potato as
it's
kind
very,
of
it's very similar.
Very similar.
It's very
Okay.
similar. So I mean, I can't give you an exact because no one ever knows,
Okay.
But what you can do is you just keep a spoon by you, pick one up, you bite into it. If it feels perfect, it's good to go.
It's the same thing that you would do with a potato to begin with.
Exact same thing.
Okay. Well, we're going to take a quick little break, and while our chicken and celery root cooks, when we come back, how to make this dinner to remember with real truffles. And no, you won't need a second mortgage to buy them. They're totally worth it, and we're going to show you why ahead on Dinner DeeAs. Welcome back to Dinner DeeAs. We get it. You're hungry and you don't know what you're going to have for dinner. Deep breath, everybody. Hold it. We have the answer. Tarragon chicken with Morel mushrooms from John Lister, the executive chef at Tampa's Ava restaurant. Before the break, we put our pan of chicken, mushrooms, vegetables, cream, and seasoning into the oven, and we start our side of not mashed potatoes, but mashed celery root. Look at that come together. It looks just like what you would be anticipating and wanting from a mashed potato, but it's not. And I have to take that test because literally...
Little sweetness.
But that little subtlety of celery.
It is. It's just a touch.
That. Oh, I love that. I love that. And that was just butter, cream, salt, pepper.
That's it. I
That's it.
I didn't even put pepper in it.
Not even pepper into it there.
No. I like it as simple as possible.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner. That's what I like to say. All right, so I'm ready for this, my friend.
So let's go ahead and start plating this up. Okay. So we're going to put this right in the center of the plate. And our chicken should be coming out of the oven right now.
Okay. And this was quick.
You can smell that
10
tarragon.
minutes in a 350-degree oven. Nice little bit of sear that's happening. And I mean, it looks good. It looks like it's taking on the color, but how do you know if it's really done?
Well, you have to, don't be scared to use the thermometer.
Okay.
All right, you're looking for 165 degrees. I personally like to pull out slightly below that because you're going to carry over.
Okay.
So the first thing I want to do is I want to remove this tarragon that I placed in there at the beginning because it's done its job.
It's done its job.
All right.
It was just to perfume all of that liquid.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But we still want to add fresh tarragon to it because fresh herbs are done best right at the end.
Okay.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the chicken up here, and once again, we're not going to put the sauce over the top.
Perfect. Okay. And I just like how you just did that subtle little touch of bringing what was your towel there, so that way then it was kind of absorbing any of that, so it wouldn't fall into it. So your sauce could be then really kind of methodically put into it there versus just, I just dropped it onto the plate.
Exactly.
That's a subtle touch that at home you guys can do that too.
Kind of like to put us around. What's nice about this, like I said, it's the vegetable and it's the sauce all in one. And you can see those nice shallots now because we didn't mince those up. So you can actually bite into them.
That's beautiful, because if you want to serve this for your family tonight, and let's face it, you've seen how easy it is to do. All you need now is the list of the ingredients and the directions in Chef John's recipe, and it's all at dinnerdeas.com. Just scan the QR code to get there.
All right. We have some fresh winter truffles.
Winter truffles. Look at that. Okay.
So,
wow.
So as you can see, I stored these in rice, and the rice is going to help keep them moist. The best part is when I'm done with this is the rice.
You can actually use it.
You can cook the rice afterwards. You can also store eggs in there with them, and the eggs will soak up that nice truffle perfume.
All right, it's time. This is like a Dinner Dias first, Truffle 101. So walk us through how we can be able to try, because there is a stigma that it's going to be so expensive, so inaccessible, and only left for, the uber wealthy.
Well, they're depending on the time of the year.
Okay.
They're not super expensive. They're not cheap, but they're worth it.
But they're worth it for the right moment. All right, let's go for it.
Okay.
Now, what are you using right now?
This is called a truffle knife, and it's just slicing them very thin. You can also use a really good microplane.
Okay.
Okay, a microplane really, because the stigma with truffles is people think it's more about the taste. It's not. It's more about the palate.
Okay.
Okay, so when you're using the truffle knife, we're putting it on at the very last moment, okay? Now what's happening is that steam is coming up from the food, it's hitting the truffle, it's wafting you, it's coming up to your nose, it's hitting you. That's the real beauty of the truffle.
Oh, how inviting. Enough truffle talk, because when we come back, it's taste test time as we make sure this is a dinner idea worthy of the title, Dinner Dia. Welcome back to Dinner Dias. Fresh ideas for what you can make tonight and how to do it. Chef John Lister from Italian restaurant Ava in Tampa has been sharing how to make Tarragon chicken with Morel mushrooms served with mashed celery root and truffles, which, as we showed you before the break, are totally worth it. And now the moment of truth. We taste test. We eat with our eyes, my friend, but this is a dish that you kind of almost want to eat with your nose first.
Absolutely.
Because I'm taking this all in, and I mean, this is absolutely, the smells, the looks, and now
Well, for me, it's everything goes together. The mushrooms and leeks, mustard and truffles.
silence is good because I'm telling you what, this is a dish that if you at home are trying to do this, this is going to inspire you to cook. This was simple to do. This was absolutely approachable. This was a dish that anyone at home, if they take the time like you did to respect the ingredients, respect the process, you can do this.
It's not difficult. It really isn't. And I love the way everything goes together. I love the way the mushrooms, the morel mushrooms, just soak up everything.
Everything. It's a one-pot wonder, and I am so grateful for you to have been able to inspire us all in this journey with you, because thanks again to Chef John Lister. He's the executive chef with Tampa's Ava restaurant. And thanks to the dog that found the truffle for this. I mean, literally, let's give some love to our man's best friend, because if you're thinking you'd like this for your dinner, find the recipe with all the ingredients, the directions at our website, dinnerdeas.com. You can watch any of our shows over. Just scan the QR code on the corner of your screen. And if you make this or any of our recipes, let us know how they turned out. Send us a picture. I'm Jeff Philbin. Thanks for watching, and see you next time with more Dinner Dias.